Okay, so you got into the teeter-totter, nice round motion in our back. We're going to carry that arm with our break fall. So whenever we engage the ground, we want to try and break our fall. We want to disperse the energy as it comes down. So the first thing I'm going to do is I sit on my butt, feet are about shoulder width apart, my hands are on my knees, I tuck my chin in, and I just rock back. Now I want this nice rounded motion in my back. I don't want to hit my head on the floor. That's the most important thing. No contact with the head. So if I end up going back too high, of course I'm going to hit my head. So I want to keep it nice and like hips down, shoulders up. You know, we used to do this when we were kids, nice and easy. So that's the first part, just this little rocking chair motion. Okay. The hands on the legs will help you keep your backs bent. If you keep your hands off, sometimes this happens and you lay flat. So mess your timing up a little bit. So by keeping your hands in, get a nice rounded motion. So that's part one. Part two is the actual breaking of the fall. Right here. So that's what we want to do. We want to slap the ground. Just as my lower back is going to touch, my hands hit the ground and spread that energy out. So, nice and easy. Next part is the actual putting them together. Right when my lower back is going to touch, that's when I'm going to hit the ground. So, and then back up. Now, nice and soft, nice and round, I'm hitting with the palm of my hand and my forearms. So this is really important when you're doing your break falls. That would be a level 1 break fall. I'll get right into level 2, and it goes right here. So I'm squatting now. My heels are, or my butt is down as low as I can, sit down, and if I can, hop up. And that's the fun little part. If you need to do a safety stand-up, you can do a safety stand-up. So sit down. Oh, if you didn't quite make it, hand on the floor, up, and just fix your position. Same thing, we're looking for this timing of right when my back is about to touch is when I would do that break fall. So that would be my level 2 break fall. One more time, sit, and then up. Now if we end up in this position, this is fine. We went over to butt scoot before, butt scoot on an elbow, and butt scoot on the shoulder, which is really a shrimp. So very, very quickly into the shrimp one more time. Remember, feet are shoulder width apart. However close I can get my feet to my butt, my heels are likely to come off the floor, elbows are in, bridge up, turn on my shoulder, and shoot my hips out. So I got that pike position. From this angle, feet up, turn onto my side, and from here, bridge, and turn on my side. So this shrimp, of course, super important motion that I've done thousands and thousands. Can't even remember how many thousands I did before I got my blue belt, let alone black belt. So shrimping, super important. Now we got one more move that we want to be able to practice, and that is our shoulder roll. So just like the break fall, when we do a shoulder roll, we don't want to hit our head on the ground. That's really important. So it's not a somersault that we learned as a kid. So we can't do this, can't put our hands on the floor. What I'm going to do is put one hand on the floor, I lift one leg up, and I bring this arm down underneath. And I want to try and touch my shoulder right in this pocket, right underneath where my head is right now. I'll put my shoulder on the floor there. I keep reaching and turn underneath. Now it should be nice and quiet, and that's the goal. If it ends up being a little loud or clunky, that's going to be a little more painful. So my hands are on the floor, a nice strong table. One leg out, hand comes underneath, shoulder touches, and nice and round, I'm rolling on my back. Now, the key here again is to be nice and round and not hit my head. So, if this happens while you're doing your rolls, you start here, get your hand underneath, and you do this, you kind of roll sideways. Don't worry about that. Sometimes we do those moves in jiu-jitsu, we roll laterally or at funny angles. So, that's not a problem. We want to try and roll forward, but the key is that it's nice and soft, nice and round. Okay, so foot's out, hand goes underneath. I look under my armpit and just roll forward. Okay? Give that a try on a nice soft surface so it's nice and easy, guys. Okay, so now we're getting into the standing self-defense portion of this lesson. We're going to deal with a cross-side push. Now we did the grabs before to base away. This is if someone's pushing on your shoulder. So if John pushes on my far shoulder, I'm going to step back and go right into an arm bar. And you want to string his arm out and apply pressure on his joint or an elbow joint. So nice and slow, what's happening is if John pushes me, naturally I want to step back. So that's really, really important. I don't want to fight and try to turn into him. This is going to be awkward for me. So I want to accept it. He steps back, my hands go to his wrist, my elbow is going to come over, and I step here in front of him. Now, ideally I want his thumb pointed down, not palm up. So thumb down, my elbows clamp, I squat, and I apply pressure by squeezing my elbows together and pulling his hand up. If I don't squeeze my elbows, his hand's going to move. His whole arm can move. So I clamp, I sit, and then I pull, just like I'm drinking water out of a fountain. Okay, old school style. So, key is, I'm nice and close to John. I don't want to start from out here. This is too many variables for John. So we want to get nice and close. My hands are in, chin is down. He pushes, step back, and into the armbar. So I have a nice strong base, so I'm stable, however comfortable you are with your base. I have his wrist, and I turn and clamp my elbow again. So again, nice and close. Easy one to practice. Of course, we want to practice this one off both sides. Okay, so if John's pushing off the other side, step back. All the same, just the other side. So make sure you try both sides. Okay, go ahead, guys. Okay, so now we're going to get into the ground self-defense portion and how to escape an attacker when he's mounted on me. So I have John, fell underneath him, he's got mount on me. So mount is his knees are on the floor beside my ribs, his feet are by my hips, he's sitting on top of me. Of course, you've likely seen this in an MMA or sports scenario. Really, really important. Now, this is more, we're going to keep it nice and simple. What if he's holding on to me or grabbing me? So maybe he might be choking me. And the nice thing is by holding onto the gi, this can simulate chokes. So instead of this very aggressive hands in the throat kind of thing for the first day, well, the gi is nice because it can simulate different grips but keep his position very, very similar. What I want to do is I'm going to bridge over to this side so you guys can see. This hand goes underneath and I trap his arm. This hand is on his elbow. Okay? My elbow is in front of his knee. So if he's got it up nice and high, I'm going to wiggle, wiggle, wiggle first and get my elbow in and grab his elbow. Now, this is important that my elbow's in front of his knee because now I know I can trap his foot. If John gets his elbow or his knee up a little bit higher, I don't really know where it is. I might try doing this, grabbing, oh, found it. That's not very efficient. So I'm going to wiggle, 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 get my elbow in front of his knee, trap his arm, trap his elbow, trap his foot. I'm going to bridge, and when I bridge on one shoulder, not two. So I bridge up, and then I kick my foot over to roll on top of John. So again, trap his elbow, elbows in front, okay? Not here, not up on his arm, not grabbing his shoulder. We want to get his elbow with my elbow in front. Trap, trap his arm, trap, bridge, and then kick that leg over. So you're going to be inside his guard. And then right away, we're looking to get our posture to sit upright, which we'll address in another lesson. Normal speed. Without a partner, you can practice this one by yourself. Elbow, elbow, elbows inside. Trap, trap, trap. So the whole side is loaded up. Bridge, that shoulder's in the air. And all the way over on top. Okay. Practice this movement. It's going to be super important. Escapes from the bottom if you're not sure how to move your hips are pretty challenging, so invest some time into this one. Have fun.